Trying to decide what to call these words, man. You know, what are these words that I'm talking about? They're just words that we've decided, sort of decided, not to use all the time.
George Carlin, 7 Deadly Words. Carlin, of course, along with Richard Pryor, Lenny Bruce, considered one of the gods of stand-up comedy, whose work had a huge impact on young audiences and on, in fact, society. Now his daughter, following in Carlin's footsteps, Kelly Carlin, brings her one-woman show to Portland Sunday night, joins us on the Morning Update. Kelly, 2 questions. How many thousands of times have you been asked what it was like to grow up as Carlin's daughter? And for that matter, what was it like to grow up as George Carlin's daughter?
Well, right now I'm putting you on the board. I'm down for 1,026 times I've been asked. You're the 26th person. No.
Okay.
It was a hodgepodge. It was a little of everything. It was the greatest dad ever. It was a dad who was busy all the time. And it was a little crazy at times, too. I mean, the 60s and the 70s, my mom and dad were experimenting with chemicals and made it kind of exciting.
Well, most of us are going a different way than our parents in our teen years. So here's your dad, the counterculture icon, doing this cutting-edge comedy and going up against the establishment. Did you think he was cool, or did that really embarrass you?
Oh, no. I thought my dad was cool. My dad was always the hippest man in the room. That's what they used to call him. No, he was a cool guy. I never had that reaction to my dad, not until much, much later in my life when I would kind of roll my eyes a little bit at him. But, no, as a teenager, I was a teen in the late 70s, so it was SNL and Steve Martin and Monty Python. He fit right into what I was into. And no, my dad was a really cool dad.
That's good to know. Could you say any of the 7 deadly words without fear of your dad coming down on you?
Yeah, the rule in our house is there are no bad words. I mean, he really believed that and lived by that, but he said there are appropriate times for them. So, and never to use them against anyone to hurt them. So we had our rules, and when I was at school or other people's houses, I knew that I had to keep my mouth shut. And it's not like I went around saying these words all the time, but, I wouldn't get killed for them.
You mentioned the chemicals. So many of us grew up with our parents saying, don't do drugs while they stood there and swilled their alcohol. I mean, How did that impact you, what was going on with both dad and mom?
They say, parents always say, don't do what I do what I say, which is ridiculous because if anyone studied any psychology developmental classes, children do what parents do. And I ended up doing what my parents did. Even though I fought with them when they were crazy on cocaine and told them to stop and this is horrible and all of that, I ended up smoking cigarettes. I ended up smoking weed. I ended up doing cocaine in my 20s. I experimented with it all, and at times it definitely did not help my life. But I'm still here. I've got a good head on my shoulders, at least I think so, and nothing horrible happened to me. But all I can say is I'm glad I am not a parent today. I don't know how these parents do this and walk that fine line.
Talk about a Carlin home companion. What do you do in the show?
So what I do is two main things. Play some of Dad's videos, and pretty much chronologically, not always chronologically, but so Dad's videos up there. And then it's storytelling. The majority of the show is me telling stories from our life together, our family, starting in the 60s with my parents meeting in Dayton, Ohio, all the way up to 2008 when my dad died. And it's a wild roller coaster, emotional roller coaster, because one minute we're laughing, the next minute we're crying. And I'm doing performing scenes with him where I play my mom and dad and myself, and I take us through some of the darkest days of the Carlins, but also take us through our big triumphs and our big victories. And it's a story about it really is. Although he is George Carlin, and we get that, in some ways we are the average American family trying to deal with the pressures of the culture, the pressures of success, the pressures of a dad that's busy, and the pressures of kind of a dysfunctional family, which 99.9% of us come from.
Yeah, we don't get to choose, do we?
No, we don't. So you gotta you learn from it all, and it really is a story of like a full circle story. In the end, there's just a beautiful amount of healing. And that's why I knew I wanted to do the show, because there's just although the ending is sad because my dad dies, there's this beautiful healing between us, and I really wanted to share just that part of my relationship with my dad, this just beautiful, tender, connected, emotional side of my father with the audience.
Kelly Carlin brings her one-woman show, Carlin Home Companion, to Portland Sunday night at the Alberta Rose Theatre. And based on what I know about this show, Portland's going to love it. Kelly, thanks for talking to us this morning.
Thank you for having me, Paul.